What is likely to die along with the baby boomers generation? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. I don't know if it will necessarily be with the boomer generation, but I think the concept of Santa Claus is going to pretty much die out in our lifetime. There's thousands of videos, social media posts, and articles online now of parents showing how they set up the elf on the shelf each night, and doing fun things like making Santa's boot prints for their kids to find, etc. Kids are getting online earlier and earlier these days, and they're going to start finding these posts earlier and earlier every year, ruining the magic of Santa that their parents are trying to keep alive. I think eventually Santa will soon just be a mascot character, and the concept of him actually coming to your house and delivering presents will fade out. Story 2. Timeshares. I worked in corporate for one of the largest timeshare companies in the world, and I left believing that it was absolutely a scam. Employee benefits were amazing, but the salespeople will absolutely lie to you to secure a sale. We used to get a lot of inquiries on exit options. These companies will put your unit on a resale market, but it'll never get sold. This will force people to exit via third party for a faster exit, but the third party market is littered with scams by the Mexican cartels. I've had to deal with so many timeshare owners who are out $50,000 because they explored the third party resale market and never actually exited. If you own a timeshare and are exploring exit options via third parties, please do not send someone money for them to help get your timeshare sold. It's a scam, and the cartel will obtain your personal information. Story 3. Long ago, a tele-salesman assured me all I had to do was make 6 easy payments for monthly pager service, and I could keep my pager. Made 6 payments and stopped using the service. The company called and said they wanted my pager back if I wasn't going to keep making payments. I told them the salesman told me it was mine to keep. They said the salesman no longer works for them, and the contract that came with the pager superseded any other agreement. They threatened collections. I returned the pager. I'm just glad it wasn't a timeshare or 40 acres of Arizona water-free desert. Story 4. Fancy unused china sets. Easy to turn them into fancy used china sets. Use the darn things. Eat off of something beautiful. I've used my grandmother's set from the 1930s every day since I inherited it. She used it every day too. It's been used almost every day for 90 years. Sure, pieces break. Some I have replaced. Lightly used plates get quickly hand-washed. Plates with food stuck on go in the dishwasher. They're fine. My mom had a set of Lenox gold banded china. She ran an experiment in the 1960s and left a salad plate in the dishwasher for a year. It was in every load that ran. It was fine, so she started using her Lenox daily and putting it in the dishwasher. She loved eating off of a beautiful plate to the day she died. Use these beautiful things. Story 5. On a less pithy note, a pretty big chunk of American industrial knowledge. It's not even just declining educational quality. There are plenty of young guys with the intelligence and work ethic to keep things running, but every available incentive pushes them away from things like chemical and industrial engineering and into tech, where they face fewer regulatory obstacles to get started and can make much more money in a faster-paced environment. The result of this is that the last 2 or 3 boomers who know how to synthesize some obscure lubricant necessary to keep some factory in Pennsylvania running are going to retire. And one of them's going to get hired on as an outside consultant until his brain can no longer function even a fraction of the time. And then that factory is just going to close down forever because there is nobody in the pipeline capable of replacing him. Same deal for all kinds of obscure maintenance tasks. It is terrifying to those in the know. You'd be shocked at how many vital processes depend on some 67-year-old engineer never ever dying. Story 6. Look into FogBank, a classified material of classified manufacture and classified purpose. Though we're decently sure it's an interstage plastic foam material for 2-stage thermonuclear devices whose production process was lost, forgotten, and ultimately had to be reverse engineered in order to sustain maintenance of the warheads that required it. Outsourcing has not only exported our manufacturing capacity, but also our tacit knowledge. C. Collins, the T-set, which is an order of magnitude more difficult to recover than even our moribund factories. Story 7. I wanted to get into the trades. I wasn't overly particular on which one. I just knew I didn't like school, and I liked working with my hands. I was thinking electrician or millwright, so I went to my guidance counselor and said roughly the same thing. I'd like to get some information on trades and apprenticeships. She no crap hit put her hand on mine and said, "You don't want to do something like that, you're too smart. You need to go into business management or marketing. Trades are for failures." And also she called my parents. My parents were absolutely livid at me and absolutely forbade it. Ended up going to school for marketing, dropped out in 3rd year, now I drive a bus. It was 22 years ago, and I'm still mad. The attitude has changed though. My 19-year-old cousin just secured an apprenticeship for plumbing, and he was helped all the way throughout the process by his guidance counselor. Story 8. It's not just that in my experience. I'm a younger engineer working for a fairly large American company that manufactures products in the US. And the companies don't seem to hire enough engineers, and there aren't enough young engineers. For example, my department over the past 30 years, mind you, I have only been here for a couple of them, has gone from approximately 30 engineers to 6. The older ones are retiring and not being replaced. And because the company isn't willing to invest in younger engineers to get them up to speed on the processes before the old ones retire. It's honestly quite scary. Story 9. A more modern version of this. As millennials die off, I fear so will free open source software. Younger generations have grown up with computers and the internet but have zero idea how they actually work, so they favor user-friendliness over user control. General X and millennials grew up having no idea how computers worked, so we had to learn from scratch. Younger generations were just handed an iPad at 3 years old and never had to actually learn how to operate them or how they function. As a result, Apple and Microsoft will only grow in strength, as will the subscription model for hardware and software. Actually owning things you buy without being constantly advertised to will become a thing of the past. I hope I'm wrong, but I doubt it. Story 10. What we think of as their wealth. That's not going to come to us. It's going to go to the hospitals, to the assisted living facilities, the nursing homes, and all the healthcare things that are slowly sucking us dry. If we don't have a crisis because of rampant Medicare fraud, mismanagement, venture capitalists and core buying all the hospitals, insurance companies and nursing facilities, it will be because of staffing, low pay, and increased patient-caregiver ratios. Healthcare in the US is starting to fall off a cliff, and it's the most noticeable in rural areas. Story 11. Text messages and Facebook posts in all caps. This reminds me of that Facebook trend years ago where people would post something like, "I do not agree to Facebook gathering and selling my personal information to their profiles," and expect that to somehow mean something. Edit, this one, LOL. I'd forgotten the actual text of the image, and the deranged all caps at the end. I do not give Facebook or any entities associated with Facebook permission to use my pictures, information, messages, or posts, both past and future. With this statement, I give notice to Facebook it is strictly forbidden to disclose, copy, distribute, or take any other action against me based on this profile and/or its contents. The content of this profile is private and confidential information. The violation of privacy can be punished by law. UCC 1-308-1, 308-103. Note: Facebook is now a public entity. All members must post a note like this. If you prefer, you can copy and paste this version. If you do not publish a statement at least once, it will be tacitly allowing the use of your photos, as well as the information contained in the profile status updates. Facebook does not have my permission to share photos or messages. Story 12. My mom's parents did quite well, and my grandmother is still alive. My parents, well, they are painfully stupid with money. When my grandfather died, they moved in with my grandmother and drained her heavily. She was smart enough to squirrel enough away to live in a quality assisted living facility, and is doing great. My parents bled her one last time to buy a house in the boondocks and are barely scraping by. When my grandmother passes, I've little doubt my parents will blow through what's left of the inheritance, as in what remains after. They trashed it and leave me with nothing. And I am 100% happy with getting nothing from them. My entire life was my parents promising me that they were doing all this for me. The house they owned was for me, until they sold it because they can't manage finances worth crap. The property my grandparents owned was for me, until they bled my grandmother so much she was forced to sell to pay for her assisted living. As a kid, I was enthralled by these promises. As I grew older, I realized they were using those words to try to buy my love after they treated me like crap. Even if they had anything, I wouldn't want it from them. I too am single with no kids. I cut my parents out of my life near a decade ago, and am much happier as a result. I feel some remorse at the idea of them struggling when they ain't capable of taking care of themselves. but actions have consequences, and you reap what you sow. Story 13. My parents are from the silent generation and baby boom generation. I'm an elder millennial. It was sure fun being raised by them. The following antiquated beliefs: communism and socialism are the same, one just comes with guns. My dad is a Vietnam vet who receives healthcare from the VA. Nutritional and food beliefs around weight gain and fattening foods. Unions are evil and communist that steals money from employees. Mental health issues and illnesses are largely made except for PTSD because my dad has it. By the way, while growing up, he never sought help for my brother who had horrible OCD growing up. Because my dad didn't want him labeled. My brother completed final act in 2009. Does my dad still believe in mental illness since then? Kinda. Democrats are evil and want to destroy America. And they're all communists. Edit to correct a word and add some more ironies. Story 14. That's an interesting topic to explore. The baby boomer generation has had a profound impact on society, culture, and the economy. As they age, several things might fade with them. Traditional work ethic. Boomers are often associated with a strong work ethic and loyalty to a single employer. As younger generations value work-life balance and job mobility more, we might see a decline in this perspective. Certain industries, with baby boomers retiring, industries that catered specifically to them, such as large family homes and retirement communities, may struggle unless they adapt to the preferences of younger generations. Cultural norms. Many cultural norms that were prominent during the boomers' prime, like conventional family structures and community engagement in local organizations, might change as society evolves. Healthcare approaches. The healthcare system has been heavily influenced by the needs of the boomer generation. As they pass, we might see a shift towards more holistic and preventative care models that reflect the preferences of younger generations. Communication styles. Boomers grew up with face-to-face interactions and traditional forms of communication. As communication continues to evolve digitally, the norms they favored might fade away. It's all a part of the cycle of generations, and while we can mourn what's lost, it's also a chance to embrace new ideas and innovations that come with the next generations. What are your thoughts? Story 15. I used to work in the corporate sector for one of the largest timeshare companies in the world, and I left convinced that the entire industry is a scam. While the employee benefits were fantastic, the salespeople would often lie just to close a deal. We frequently received inquiries about exit options. And here's the hard truth. These companies may put your unit on a resale market, but it's almost guaranteed it won't sell. This leaves many owners feeling forced to seek a faster exit through third-party companies. But beware, that market is riddled with scams, many of which are tied to Mexican cartels. I've personally dealt with countless timeshare owners who have lost $50,000 or more because they ventured into the third-party resale market without ever actually getting out of their contract. If you're looking to exit your timeshare, never send money to a third party claiming they can help you sell it. It's a scam, and the cartel may end up with your personal information. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.